All right, so continuing on page 37, we're going to look at a couple of the ones at the bottom of the page that have to do with the original prices, discount prices, amounts of discount, and sale prices, discount rates, pardon me. So looking at part A there, so remember we're thinking about, okay, what's our rate going to be, what's our amount going to be, and what is our base going to be? So the rate we are given is 15%. Now that's the discount rate. So that's the part that we don't pay. So we need to figure out, when we figure out the amount, that's got to be talking about the same thing. So we don't know what that is. That's what we have to look for. And we do have the original price, which will be our base. So we're going to be looking for A, and A is going to be the amount of money that we don't pay in dollars, because 15% is the amount of money that we don't pay as a percent. So remembering that amount equals rate times base. Our amount is our unknown, our rate as a decimal, 0.15, and 175 for the base. So the amount that we do not pay in dollars will be $26.25. And in other words, the amount of the discount. And then we have to find, so that'll be the 26.25 goes here, if I'm thinking about my chart. The sale price is going to be the original price minus the discount. That's going to give us our sale price. So we're going to do that same thing here and take the $175 and subtract off the $26.25. And of course you can use your calculator for this. 175 minus 26.25, it's going to give us $148.75. So that is the sale price. And if you think about these in terms of whether they make sense. Okay, so 15%, you know, that's a small amount. So we are, as far as a percent, so we are not paying a small amount. And that leaves us with a sale price, which is down some, but it's not like crazy small. Now, if you had accidentally like interchanged these, if you took a moment to think about it, hopefully you would realize that the discount would not be $148 because that's way more than 15%, and that the 26 could not be the sale price. So just take a moment to double check and make sure that these things make sense. And then we can go on to part D. So part D, okay, so we do not know the original price. So that's our base that we don't know. So we don't know the base. We know that the discount rate is 40%. So that's the amount off, right? So that's the amount you don't pay as a percent. And the discount amount in dollars is $23.36. So that's also the amount that we don't pay. So good. Those two things are talking about the same idea. And as long as that's the case, then we know that we will get the correct value for B when we set up this equation. So amount equals rate times base. The amount is the 23.36. The rate is 40% as a decimal, which will be 0.4 times B. Divide both sides by 0.4. And we would get 58.4. Now, remember that this is an original price, and it was 40% off. So our original price should be a little bit more than twice this, right? Because if I doubled this amount, I'd get about 80%, I'd get 80% of it. So 50, this is what, 23, so that's going to be what, 46. So this is a little bit bigger than double our discount amount. So this does make sense. Just make sure that you write it as correctly in decimal format for money. You're going to have, the 2 places past the decimal point is the original price. So I will put that up here as well. And then to figure out the sale price, that's the other blank for this row of G here, we would take our original price minus our discount. So just like we did in part A. So the original was the $58.40 minus the $23.36. And then that is going to give us the part that we actually pay. And that's $35.04. So since we don't pay 40%, then we should pay a little bit more than half of our original price. So the original price is, 58. So half of that is about 30. So we pay a little bit more than half of that. And so that does make sense as a sale price. Okay, and I will pause so I can flip to the next page. All right, so the next one we're looking at is on page 38. So a new shirt is labeled at $42. John purchased the shirt and paid $44.10. And we want to know how much was the sales tax and what was the sales tax rate. So remember how much the sales tax was. We're talking about dollars here. So when we think about that, it's going to be the total paid minus the price of the shirt, because that's the only thing we're adding on here. There's no shipping and handling. It's just the tax. So if we minus the price, then that's going to equal the tax in dollars. So, right, subtotal, and then your total is what we're looking at there. So our subtotal price there and the total paid. So we're thinking that then it's $44.10 minus $42, and that's going to be our tax, which will be $2.10. Don't forget to write it as money with 2 places past the decimal point and the dollar sign and the decimal point. And now we want to look at the sales tax rate. So now we can't just do a subtraction. We have to think about our amount equals rate times base formula. So the amount, rate, we don't know the rate, the amount, and the base. Okay, so remember that we are looking for the tax rate. So the amount, because that has to those two have to talk about the same thing, has to be the tax in dollars, which is what they had you find in part A. So that's great. We just take that $2.10. That's the tax as far as dollars. And then the base is going to be what we base the tax on, which is going to be that original price of the shirt. So the $42. And then we can go ahead and plug into the formula. So A is 2.1. I'll put it as $2.10 in here. We don't know the rate, and we know the base is $42. Now, you don't necessarily have to be super concerned about labeling within your equation as long as you make sure that what pops out, you do label. So we would take that then and divide. So that 2.1 divided by 42 is going to give us 0.05. Now, remember, that's the decimal, so we do need to change that to 5% is the sales tax rate. Okay, and I am going to pause again so I can flip to the next page. Remember, the ones that I am not doing on these pages, I will have work and answers for posted later so that you can go back and look at them. Okay, so we're on the middle of page 39. Anne works at a supermarket for $10 per hour. If her pay increased to $12 per hour, what is the percent increase in pay? So this is a percent increase problem. And remember, the percent increase or decrease we can find by taking the original amount minus the new amount and take the absolute value of that over the original and multiply it by 100%. This is not on the Math 40 formula sheet for the test, so you do need to have this one memorized. So looking at those different pieces. All right, so the original pay was $10. That is not a different enough color. All right, so the original pay was $10. And we're going to subtract the new pay, which is $12, but then we're going to take the absolute value. And then the original was still $10. And eventually we will multiply this by 100%. We have to get this fraction taken care of first. So that numerator would be -2, absolute value over 10 times 100. And that's going to be 2/10 times 100%. And 2/10 is 1/5 or 0.2 times 100%. So that essentially means we are multiplying this by 100. So moving the decimal point 2 places to the right and putting the percent symbol on because we're multiplying by a percent. So this is going to be 20% increase. So Anne got a 20% increase in pay when she went from $10 to $12. Now we can also talk about percent decreases, which is what's going to happen in this next one. The staff at a company went from 40 to 29 employees. What is the percent decrease in staff? So, make sure that you're writing stuff down, labeling things. So if it started at 40, that's going to be your original. And then the 29 will be the new amount. So percent, and because it goes down, we know it is going to be a percent decrease. So the original minus the new over absolute value of that over the original times the 100%. And then we go through and plug in the values. So the original was 40 minus 29 for the new, and 40 was still the original, multiplied by 100%. So we have 40 minus 29 is going to be 11. So 11 over 40. I'm sorry, over 40 times 100%. There we go. And this one, I know that 40 minus 29 will be positive. So taking the absolute value of positive 11 is just going to be 11. I just didn't write that step down in there. So take the 11 and divide it by 40. And we are going to get 0.275 times 100%. And remember, that means moving 2 places to the right. 1, 2 with that decimal point. So that makes it 27.5%. So this will be a 27.5% decrease in staff. All right, and I am going to end this video here, and then I'm going to do one more video on the last 3 problems that are on page 40, and we will be done with Unit 1.